I've talked about it before, you know. About content creators leaving. About Warframe struggling to keep players invested. About the lack of meaningful content, the lack of coverage for the game, the issues that come with just using open world for an end game, you name it. Normally this would be the part where I would say I called it, but I would take no pleasure in making that statement. Seeing people leave Warframe for reasons similar to burnout, boredom, or becoming dissatisfied with the game's state doesn't surprise or worry me in the slightest. And no, I'm not trying to insult or condescend other content creators by saying that. Everyone has the right to play whatever they want, and everyone has the right to leave and return whenever they want. It's just that with the way Warframe's content has been becoming more sparse and more repetitive over the past year or so, watching more people finally lose their patience doesn't make me feel like saying the game is dying, or question DE's thought process, because this isn't the first time we've been here, nor the last time. Quite the contrary. For those of you who have been around, you know as well as I do that this isn't the first time that partners and content creators have abandoned the game. Hell, I did it myself way back then as well. The point is, this only shows how Warframe hasn't broken its habit of failing to keep its veterans invested in the game outside of events and mainline updates. And that's only going to be a growing problem. Being a Warframe partner is by no means a contract that forces you to stick with Warframe and nothing else. However, a side effect of content creators leaving the game is that it lowers the coverage it gets online, namely Twitch and YouTube. And yeah, I know what you might be thinking.
Who cares if partners leave? DE can just advertise the game to make up for the reduced exposure.
That's the problem. DE doesn't really advertise the game, and it shows. Player growth really only goes up when big updates are released, as you can tell by the activity spikes around the release dates of The War Within, The Plains of Eidolon, etc. The only time you will really see ads for Warframe being pushed are when big new updates are released, and that's intentional. After all, what else is DE supposed to show off in a trailer for a game that's like an MMO while not being an MMO? Conclave PvP that nobody touches? Lunaro, which everyone forgot about. Archwing cinematics? The big CGI trailer that was made recently was done so because they're focusing on pushing attention on the new player experience, which is one of Warframe's biggest problems. It goes without saying, how are you supposed to grow your potential customers if you don't advertise your game? How are you supposed to expand your audience if you don't explain or guide them through anything outside of the tutorial? It's kinda funny, in a way. If DE focuses on the veterans, they're basically ignoring the new player portion of their audience, which matters if you're trying to grow your game. On the flip side, if DE focuses on the new players instead, they're leaving their older players in the dust even more than they are now. Thankfully, Warframe is one of those games that grows due in part to its reputation to having a positive and devoted community, which is something that even those who know little to nothing about Warframe can recognize. However, with the issue of players leaving Warframe because there's nothing to do, the question remains, how long will Warframe maintain its reputation for having such a positive community? The thing is, Warframe wasn't originally intended to last this long. Before Warframe was released, DE was on the verge of being gone forever, and they made Warframe as their last-ditch effort to avoid going under. As you can tell, it worked. Warframe has been in the top 5 most played free-to-play games on Steam for a few years now, and it's frequently used by everyone as the Cinderella story of free-to-play done right. Everyone loves to talk about how Warframe is the darling of the free-to-play sphere of games, but nobody ever brings up the underlying issues of Warframe, because none of them are problems a new player has to deal with. Yes, the piss-poor new player experience is an issue that applies to new players, but this is often overlooked because Warframe's reputable community steps in to fill the gaps left by DE. It's amusing, if you ask me. Those who give the overly positive reviews for Warframe are the people who are overwhelmed by the year's worth of content they're experiencing for the first time, unlike the rest of us who have been here for years, thirsting for content that could keep us busy. This brings up the actual root of the problem. The content that we have now is not and has never been designed for the long term. As it stands right now, there is nothing in Warframe that is designed to keep veterans coming back to play more, because the majority of the game follows the same mission, do objective, extract formula. And obviously, repetition gets boring, in the same way content creation gets boring. Warframe is a looter shooter, meaning that efficiency and optimal damage takes precedence above everything else. Naturally, people are going to want to know how to best do and build everything, so it shouldn't be a surprise that a sizable chunk of the Warframe community on YouTube is just guides and build videos. The same old type of content on YouTube for the same old type of content in Warframe. Kind of fitting, if you ask me. The Plains of Eidolon were made as a way to give Warframe a breath of fresh air, because having an open world to play in would break the monotony of going to procedurally generated areas. Instead, we got a big sandbox with many missions to complete, big bosses to fight, its own layer of grind, and bugs. It was fun for about a week, then everyone moved on. That's where some frustration from those who leave the game comes from, I believe. The lack of not being able to play something that takes up their time in a non-wasteful manner. The thing is, we already wait for major content to be released, and then finish it in under 2 weeks in most cases. The idea of Fashion Frame's endgame is actually not an incorrect one, because once you've completed every quest, completed the star chart, and completed all focus trees, there's nothing left to do, other than grind for what you don't have already or getting items that improve your gameplay such as Riven mods or arcanes. So what does a bored player start doing when they're done with the actual game parts of Warframe? Burn time on parts of the game that aren't the main focus of Warframe. Collecting flues. Spending hours maximizing Fashion Frame looks. Fishing or hunting. Making memes on Discord servers. Those who don't particularly care about that side of Warframe end up leaving once they're done with new content, hence why player count drops off almost immediately after a new update. Nightwave and sorties exist as a way for players to keep coming back to play more, albeit for daily rewards which essentially just turn Nightwave and sorties into more of a daily chore rather than something that can be done for fun. But again, there's nothing substantial to do for those who have already seen and done everything they need to do. Players who are jumping into Warframe for the first time will be absolutely flooded with the amount of stuff they're able to see and do, and for the first few months or so, it works. However, once a player gets to the point where they're caught up with the rest of us, they have to partake in the worst activity a game can force you to do. Waiting. The bane of every player's existence is being forced to wait. You can't enjoy the game if your experience is halted through no fault of your own. You can't enjoy the game if there's literally nothing left for you to do. You can't enjoy the game if you're stuck there, waiting for the next patch of content to be released, like an animal waiting to be fed. That sort of expectation and anticipation is torture, especially if you're one of those individuals that relies on keeping people entertained to pay your bills. Obviously, you can't have a source of income if your source of material is empty or on hold. When there's nothing to talk about, it's only natural that content creators either leave for greener pastures or make filler content in the meantime. As much as I enjoy playing Warframe, I have to say that I think this model of game design and update delivery is unsustainable. I perfectly understand that DE's vision of Warframe means we're going to get big updates that require a lot of time, resources, and manpower to create. That's fine and all, but when there's nothing significant being released while everyone is waiting for the real mainline content to be made, how do you honestly expect players to be happy waiting for months on end for a single update, multiple times? Nobody plays games to sit around and twiddle thumbs. If there's nothing new to do now, then people will go look for new things to do elsewhere, in other games, especially the content creators who actually rely on Warframe videos for a living. I don't blame any of them for leaving, but again, it shouldn't surprise anyone. If there's nothing of value to be done, then a player will simply spend their time elsewhere, or treat Warframe less like a game and more like something to do in the background while you do something else, such as talking about random shit with friends. In regards to even more people leaving Warframe, some of you out there might be asking,
what about you? Will you be leaving Warframe too?
No. I've realized the last time I quit Warframe that I'm incapable of quitting something I've invested hundreds of hours worth of my time in. I might be insane in some ways, but even I can fully recognize and admit that Warframe is not a finished product, which is why it's still in beta, even if we meme about it all the time. I recognize that I'm in a very fortunate position when it comes to content creation for Warframe. I don't have to rely on YouTube or Patreon to pay my bills, because the military does that for me. I don't have to live in constant fear of having my channel or a livelihood going away because I didn't get enough views to put food on my table, because I have absolutely no need to monetize my content. I don't have to worry about becoming completely burned out on Warframe, because my job keeps me busy enough to be away from Warframe for months on end, meaning that I can simply leave the game and come back to play months worth of new content. The only limit to my creative freedom is ensuring that it doesn't violate the rules of Warframe. As much shit as I give DE, I have to respect their ambition for taking Warframe from a concept nobody wanted to touch to one of the most popular free-to-play games that exists. I hopped onto Warframe years ago in order to fill the void in my life left by previous games that are no longer alive or the same. I'm still here, not only because I'm enamored with the potential for Warframe, but also because I want to see where this ride will end. Like I said earlier, I could be right. Warframe could simply die out within the next 4 years if Railjack turns out to be a flop and all the content we get is just more recycled material, especially if DE doesn't deliver anything that completely blows away players in the same way the second Dream did. Naturally, I could also be wrong. Railjack could be a major success for Warframe, and a stepping stone for what type of material we as the players should expect to be given to play. Future content could start becoming truly fresh and new again, enticing players to come back and spend more time than ever. Nobody has a clear idea of where Warframe is going other than DE. We have absolutely no idea what to expect from them, meaning that their final vision for Warframe could be something that none of us agree with, or it could be something that could draw in more players than ever before. My only fear is that Warframe will potentially end up going down the same path that many other free-to-play games with promise did, and that's into the graveyard. I don't know what will come, nor does any other player. Whether Warframe continues to grow, stagnates, or dies, I don't care. I'm just along for the ride. Even if what the future holds for the game is as unpredictable as a dice roll, I have no problem taking a chance. I believe that DE hasn't truly tapped into the endless possibilities for where they could take Warframe. The only question is, do they believe the same? That remains to be seen.